For today's Touch Basin's Hole, we're joined by head coach for South Korea's national men's rugby team, Charles Louw, who took helm of the team in early 2021. In the nation's rugby community, he has been called the Rugby Hiddink, referring to Guus Hiddink, the legendary coach of the national football team. He's referred to in this way because of the transformative impact he has had on Korean rugby. To learn more about his story and what he hopes to achieve in South Korea, Mr. Louw joins us now via video. Mr. Louw, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Okay, so can you tell us a bit about your background and how you ended up coaching the Korean national team? I understand that you were in Japan for quite a few years before coming to Korea.
Yes, I started my coaching career working at the Sharks Rugby Union, which was in South Africa, one of the Super Rugby franchises. And then I ended up going to Japan and working with one of the top league teams, Canon, for 3 years. And then I went to work at a university in Japan. And then from there, I met a lot of the Korean people when we came on training camps to Korea. And so I've known the Korean coaches and the Korean culture for close to 8 to 10 years.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so that's where I met most of the coaches, some of the players. I was involved in coaching some of the players when they were still at university, at Yonsei University, Korea University, Dankook University, and even helped the coach from Sangmu, the national armed forces team. So I've been helping and assisting on the side for a number of years, but with no expectations of anything happening other than just like trying to help Korea become better. And then this opportunity came up after we qualified for the Olympics. And it was a great opportunity. It's something that I'd always dreamed about, was going to the Olympics. So when the opportunity came up, I took it.
Right, so it was basically a no-brainer then at the time for you. Yes.
It was something I dreamt about my whole life. Coaching a team to the Olympics, and irrespective of what team I was going to be involved with, it was something that I wanted to do and desperately wanted to do, and it was a great experience.
So you were familiar with the Korean national team setup, but still, what was your first impression when you took on the role officially? What did you find when you took on the team?
The first thing I noticed is that it's a really, really great bunch of people. The players are just unbelievable to work with. They have got such a great work ethic. It's frightening. But on the other side, the flip side was the physical conditioning of the players was like very, very poor. So and then the skill development and game understanding wasn't at the level that was required to be competitive on the world stage. So those are the two areas that we really worked hard on, was the fundamental skill development, game understanding, and physical conditioning.
Right, so it was the very basics really then that Korea were lacking, that you had to start from scratch essentially.
Yeah, you see, a lot of people sort of misunderstand the concept of basics. Basics is not just the ability to catch and pass a rugby ball or any sport. It doesn't matter what sport you play. It's the ability to do it accurately, under speed, under pressure, under fatigue in a game situation. That is the key element. And that's what people didn't understand. So if you didn't put people under pressure, or if you didn't make them fatigued, they could still catch and pass quite easy. But the minute you started adding in the accuracy element, and the speed element, you added in all those other elements, what started happening is errors started mounting. And it was then tried to highlight to the players, we have to be error-free under pressure. So how do we do that? Well, we've got to be more accurate, and we've got to do it quicker and faster. And so that's something that I think a lot of coaches, and not just in Korea, I think all over the world, sort of get wrong. So any sport is just the ability to perform the basics accurately at speed under pressure.
And how has the Korean team taken to your training and your philosophies then? Have they picked it up, and are you seeing the improvements that you wanted to see?
Oh yes, there's been amazing improvements, not only in individual players' performances, but in team performances. just after the Olympics in 2021, we had a Rugby World Cup qualifier, sevens qualifier in November of 2021, and we made the Rugby Sevens World Cup, and in sort of in difficult circumstances, because the sevens game has moved on like exponentially compared to where it was in early 2000s. It's fully professional, and we made it, and we performed really well. We went to the Rugby World Cup in September this year, and we lost 2 games and won 2 games, which I thought was a really, really good performance from the team.
Right, so you took the team to the Olympics, although they had already qualified for the Olympics, but then you were there throughout the whole road to South Africa to the Rugby Sevens World Cup then?
Yes, correct. So I was brought in 2019 to help prepare the team for the Olympic qualifier. So I was brought in as a special assistant coach or a technical advisor, and I worked with the current coach at that time, Mr. Saw from the Korean Armed Forces. He's a really good guy, really knowledgeable, and I get along really well with him. And so we worked together, and we prepared the team for the Olympics, and then after the Olympics, the Rugby World Cup came about, and we just keep on trying to keep moving the goals, and to make sure we try and achieve our vision.
Sure. What was it like to win those 2 games at the Rugby World Cup? That in itself was a landmark achievement for South Korea, right?
Yeah, it is a landmark achievement in the current climate with where the game has progressed to. If you go back 20 years, the game has totally changed in the last 20 years. So in the current climate, it was a landmark achievement. Yeah.
Right. So what do you make of your new moniker, the Rugby Hiddink? As I said, Guus Hiddink, he led the South Korean national football team to that Cinderella run to the semi-finals of the 2002 World Cup and became a national hero. What do you make of that comparison?
I don't place too much on comparisons, to be honest. I mean, I know Guus Hiddink is a phenomenal coach and a phenomenal person. All I do is just try and do my job to the best of my ability and try and improve the players on a day-to-day basis. So I don't let titles or what people say interfere with what I'm trying to do as a coach. Yeah.
Still, it must be rewarding to see the team progress, and there's been also public recognition of the team's efforts, especially after their gutsy performance at the Olympics as well.
Yes, I think what's happened is that as some of the players have gained a little bit of notoriety and been on television more and more often, the standing of rugby in the community has sort of grown a little bit, and I'm very appreciative for that. We need our heroes to go out there and market the game on our behalf. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to take the game to the people and get people involved and interested and excited about rugby.
Right, and then after the World Cup came the Asia Rugby Sevens Series. That got underway with the first leg played in Bangkok, Thailand from October 22nd to 23rd, with the Sevens team involved. The teams that participated in the competition were Hong Kong, Japan, China, South Korea, the UAE, the Philippines and Malaysia, and South Korea ranked 3rd in the first leg of the competition so far. How do you assess Team Korea's performance there?
I thought it was an unbelievable performance based on which players were available and which players weren't available. The Korean Sports Festival, I think the National Sports Festival was held in the middle of October. So there were a lot of players unavailable because of injuries, and some players had gone overseas to Uzbekistan on a training camp. So we took a very inexperienced team to Thailand. And they performed unbelievably brilliantly. We had some key players, obviously, some key members, some experience in the team. But what I was looking for was just players to play together as a team, fight together for each other, and make sure we do the things that we practiced. And we only had 3 days preparation. So that was a phenomenal performance on the back of 3 days preparation. We obviously, there were a couple of areas we were caught out, but we'll work on those and fix them and for the next leg.
Sure, and you talk about exposure. The next leg will in fact be taking place here in South Korea, in Incheon. That's from November 12th to November 13th. The team must be excited to be playing in front of a home crowd.
Yeah, no, they're very motivated. We're busy working very hard at the moment. I actually just rushed back from the training field to be on time for this interview. So the players like really put in a lot of effort. Yeah, we're training 3 times a day. Everything is really well planned out and well thought out with regard to what we do, with regard to conditioning and what type of exercises and skill development stuff we're working on. So yeah, it's looking good. We're still lacking a couple of players. Some players will be coming in on Wednesday because they've just finished with the Korea Yonsei University game, and some of the players that were unavailable that went to Uzbekistan will be available. So we should have our full squad in camp on Wednesday, and we can start focusing on more detailed related stuff for the opposition that we're going to be playing against.
Sure, and then after the series will be next year the Hangzhou Asian Games as well. Looking ahead, what's your goal with the South Korean national team? What do you hope to achieve? What kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind?
I think sort of put it in a different way. It's like, what's our vision? So our vision is what drives us, and our goals are little milestones along the way that we celebrate. So our vision is to be competitive in international rugby sevens and 15s. That's our vision. That is driving us. And then the goals that we want to achieve, or the milestones, would be obviously to become part of the Sevens Challenger Series, and also to become part of the, hopefully in the long term, the World Sevens Series. And that's from a sevens perspective. And then obviously as we become more competitive in those events, we will get better and better. So we're trying to look at the world rather than focus on Asia. If we're competitive in the world, then playing in the Asian Games will be just relatively easy rather than difficult, And then the same thing with the 15s. The 15s side of the game, which is an important aspect in the development of other players, is not just to have two test matches a year, one against Malaysia, one against Hong Kong, but rather start introducing additional test matches and tours to European countries or down to Southern Hemisphere. And it's all about getting players experience, getting players to understand what is required to be competitive. And I think that's our vision. The team has bought into it, the players have bought into it, and that's why we need an extended squad. So we can't just have like 12 players available to us, because there's a lot of injuries that occur. So we have to have players that are competent, that are ready, and ready to step in at any moment's time. So we're trying to do that, build the squad, an extended squad, make sure there's depth in all the positions, and then just try and maintain it. With regard to leaving a legacy, it's more about making sure that if I'm not here, the systems that are put in place and the people that I've coached, the players that I've coached, and the coaches that I've coached, hopefully can continue with that system, and try and unite Korea from a rugby perspective to make Korea strong in the world. I think Koreans are really passionate people. But it's important to unite and be united in a common vision and a common goal. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you are taking on quite a few challenges, but we wish you luck on everything that you're trying to achieve with the team, and hopefully you can help continue to transform the team and continue to leave that legacy, and perhaps you'll be not just known as the Rugby Hiddink, but just as rugby's Charles Louw as well. We appreciate your time. We've been speaking to the head coach of South Korea's national men's rugby team, Charles Louw. Thank you once again for your time today.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me on.